So I recently read and caught up to the Kaiji manga, and it was pretty damn good for the most part. If you've seen the anime and or read the manga up to the end of part 2, then I'll let you know that the next parts will not be lacking in suspense, mind games, and hype. However, we all know pretty well that Kaiji is about high-stakes gambles and insane escalations of tension. We know mangaka Nobuyuki Fukumoto can nail that aspect. The other thing that I found particularly striking about the Kaiji series is how Fukumoto can make his characters complex or multi-layered without compromising their negative moral compass. In most narratives, usually villains and antagonists will get some sort of backstory or exposition, revealing a contrast in their character, to humanize them or help us better understand their motivations. And I'm fine with that kind of aspect of storytelling. It's pretty true to life for some people to be kinda good and bad, but it's equally as true for someone to lack that contrast. There are people in the world who don't have a conventional good side. I say conventional because most of what we believe to be good is pretty subjective. Things like being merciful or sympathetic, respecting others, that kind of thing. There are people in the world who either are not in a situation where they can feel that way or just don't see the value of it. Unfortunate, but it's true. The world is a complex place. What I find interesting about Kaiji is that Fukumoto writes these kind of characters without making them one-dimensionally evil. They're definitely on the wrong side of conventional morality, but they are just human enough to be interesting and potentially relatable to some. The three characters who embody this kind of character writing are Ichijo, Muraoka, and Endo. Starting with Ichijo, he's one of Part 2's antagonists, running the Tei-affiliated casino, which houses the Bog, the terrifying pachinko machine that Kaiji, Sakazaki, and Endo have to crack to get its $1 billion of payout, with only Hyodo and Tonigawa ever actually beating it. Ichijo is a cocky, arrogant guy who rigs the Bog to make sure nobody else can actually win it, and he physically tortured Kaiji at one point with no hesitation, and has no remorse for the trio at all, rejecting Kaiji's desperate pleas to call it a draw when it looked like the Bog had beaten him. However, as Kaiji starts inching closer to victory, the pressure ramps up on Ichijo, as losing those billions will put him in personal debt and get him sent to the forced labor that Kaiji is trying to escape from. Ichijo takes this threat seriously because he isn't 100% accepted by the rest of Tei or even his own peers who see him as lesser for running a casino and not taking a conventional, high-paying job. So he gets his own determination to win on an equal level to Kaiji's, because losing would destroy everything he worked for. Nothing tragic in particular happened to Ichijo, but he strives to be taken seriously, as his ego doesn't accept the scorn he receives for his occupation. Furthermore, he hates Hyodo and is waiting on his death. He doesn't hate Hyodo for any philosophical or business-related reason, but because Hyodo humiliated him in his early days at Tei, and because he wants to take his place as the president once he dies. He isn't given a tragic hero angle, but he hates Hyodo and fights for his own personal retribution and advancement within the Tei organization. Reasons that are very true to his ambitious and egotistical self. Next is Muraoka, who is Part 3's antagonist, and owns a smaller casino which also runs a similar scam, but in Mahjong. Muraoka is a lot more outwardly respectful than Ichijo was, and maintains a guise of being a humble man who enjoys gambling, but actually runs a $1 billion operation by cheating in games of Mahjong. Now, Muraoka doesn't have any lofty ambitions like Ichijo did, and is quite content with where he is at the start of Part 3. What's interesting about Muraoka is his mentality towards regular society, despite seeming like a normal guy on the surface. Muraoka is averse to actually living his life within conventional rules. During the Mahjong game with Kaiji, when things look like they might take a turn for him, he starts lamenting his luck and reflecting on his life, showing us a flashback of him avoiding his responsibility from college years unto his current state, doing things like getting someone to take an exam for him, evading taxes, starting underground businesses, undermining coworkers, and utilizing any and all connections he had to get into Tei. Now, everyone else would view Muraoka as nothing but a cheater and a coward who has done no hard work in his life, only finding easy way outs and loopholes for everything. Yet Muraoka sees the act of skirting the law and exploiting loopholes as work in itself. He lives on a totally different moral plane from conventional society. He sees things like the law, the government, social conventions, all as impediments to human success, rather than seeing them as necessary for order and or prosperity. He finds them annoying and avoids them whenever he can. He even takes that outlook into things like marriage, which he sees as a binding to someone who can't possibly love you forever. Muraoka reflects a lot of the disdain and insecurity that people have for the common conventions of life in developed nations. But very rarely do people act on their own disdain to the degree of Muraoka. There are people who avoid laws and find loopholes for self-centered reasons, but Muraoka takes this mentality into every aspect of his life. He views every aspect of conventional life as a barrier to his personal success, and finds a way around it. You gotta get tested in college to get credentials, get someone smarter than me to take the test. I have to go through an interview process to get the job I want. Just use my connections. Have to pay taxes, I'll start an underground business. Need more money? Scam others out of their money using my employees. Get married? No, because I'll need to use my money for them and I'll have to commit to them for the rest of my life. Muraoka refuses to accept normal aspects of life, but goes to various extremes to avoid doing so, which makes him relatable to some, but outrageous at the same time. And finally, it's Endo. Endo is the first Tei member introduced to us and offers Kaiji the ride on the Espoir to potentially win big, which spirals into basically the rest of the series. Eventually, after Kaiji gets his pass outside of the underground labor camp, Endo is forced to team up with him and Sakazaki to beat the Bog, because Endo is in debt trouble of his own. We think that this union could forge a bond with Kaiji and Sakazaki and potentially spur a character turnaround for the better, yet it is made clear that Endo is just an opportunist. He had no remorse convincing Kaiji to ride the Espoir and didn't hesitate to send Kaiji underground at the beginning of part 2. But he knew that Kaiji was very resourceful and had amazing luck at gambling, so seized an opportunity to be rid of his own debts by teaming up with him and Sakazaki. The union is not about any moral opposition to Tei or sense of friendship with Kaiji and Sakazaki, but merely about getting himself out of the bind he was in. And Kaiji was the best opportunity to do so, and he knew Kaiji and Sakazaki needed all the help they could get. Once they defeated the Bog, Endo used Kaiji's trust against him and took the money he owed him. Once Endo has gotten what he wanted, he continues on with Tei and sees an opportunity to solidify his standing with Tei even more by catching Kaiji, Mario, and Chang, who are all on the run with Kazuya's 2.4 billion yen after the one poker game, and was even seconds away from torturing Sakazaki trying to get information. Endo is definitely not a one-dimensional antagonist. He was willing to team up with Kaiji and fight Tei when it was necessary, and he does have a sense of ethics, but he is very engrossed in his line of work and way of thinking. He is in the business of hustling people and taking their money, and will use those skills whenever it suits him, even if it's against his employer's Tei, and even if it's against someone he risked it all with. What this proves is that Endo has no allegiances. Where there is an opportunity to benefit, he will take it. None of his actions are motivated by a sense of justice or obligation, only by profit. Well, that's my video for this week. I hope you all enjoyed it. Subscribe and or follow me on Twitter if you like my content enough. I also have a Discord channel. You can join that if you like. It's in the description. Have a great day, everybody.